There you go.
Hello and welcome. This is a scene from Vampire the Masquerade on the venue Darkness in Dublin. This evening's scene will be taking place in the antique bookshop of Ryan Famo, necromantic savant and proprietor of this fine establishment. The scent of old books and musk permeate the warm bars and displays, fill every crevice not piled with books. The dust in the air lies disturbed, and shelves defined by entropic state, bending black with mould, are mottled. The pitted brass of chandeliers, sooted with skulls, are still clearly on display, but something has breathed new life into them. The morose and melancholy feeling is replaced with a surprisingly neatly refurbished situation. The perpetrator clearly has too much spare time.
All right, we will begin the scene. I was originally going to have it so that this would be when you were awakening. However, the scene will take place later in the evening. So you have gone out in order to deal with some semblance of business or whatever. The hour is about 2 o'clock in the evening when you return home and you find this place is clean.
Who has touched my perfectly disturbedness? I had this all neatly sorted out, or not, but it was disorganized in my way.
And by neatly pointed out, you mean, well, how would I phrase this? An absolute shambles that was both a health hazard and, frankly, you couldn't find anything in here, even if you did have a dead man's monkey's paw.
If anybody died in my shop, I can assure you that would be only a bonus to me.
Sophia you see her walking down one of those very, very spindly brass staircase, one of those very, very spindly brass step ladders that you have to go up to one of the higher shelves. As you look up, you see the fact that she has, in fact, renumerated or indeed recatalogued all of your antique books on the top, on going from the top shelf down. And they all appear to be in alphabetical order from Algebrex, Alcifian, Amacuri, down to Zinedine Zaranan's Zinotopia. On a side note, never try and come up with multiple things that begin with Z. You're just going to have a sad day. But she will nod and she will say, "Now there is some semblance of order, where before there was only chaos."
Well, I prefer to think of it as entropy, which is, after all, the end state of this universe.
You are free to believe that if you'd like. Ultimately, entropy is entirely based upon the lack of the ability. Entropy, I've always believed, is based upon futility. The fact that there can be nothing but entropy. I believe that if one is sufficiently motivated in order to stave it off, entropy simply becomes a backward concept.
Perhaps. I don't believe I've seen you since that Chantry situation.
Yes. If it helps, it took me about a week and a half to organize the basement.
Oh. I would have suggested avoiding the basement.
If it helps, my next arguably Herculean task is the attic.
Well, I suppose I can't make any jokes about skeletons, but why not?
I found that those were indeed in the closet. Congratulations on being a cliche.
Yes.
This, however, does seem to be agreeable. You require someone to run this decrepit emporium of the odds during the day, and I have nothing else better to do. So, I think that this is agreeable. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes, it seems like a quite good arrangement. I have ghouls to do such a service, but I'm sure that you seem far more competent in this manner.
One does one's best. She walks forward, and she extends her hand. In that case, we have a deal.
I shake her hand. I do my best not to show any kind of discomfort at this because.
But bear in mind, her hand does not. She does not have the same warmth the person does. It does not feel like shaking a human hand. It feels almost like you're shaking a mannequin's hand.
Yeah, see, that's less disturbing for Ryan. So yeah.
Yeah, I was pointing that out to him that there's actually no human contact there.
I gracefully shake the hand.
If it helps, I've also seen fit to procure you gloves. They're on the table.
Yes, I had the idea recently at a certain meeting I had at a pharmaceutical place.
Oh,
It seems you beat me to the punch.
I do that. After all, if a servant is not capable, then a servant is not serving, and a servant who does not serve well, what on earth are they?
Yes, the best kind of major domo is one that you never have to ask to do something.
I quite agree.
Sophie, I believe.
Sophie, Sophia, whichever you prefer. I have many names, or rather, I've had many names, but that one will do for now. Unless you'd rather call me something else.
Sophie makes all the same difference to me.
As you like, Mr. Firmo. She walks behind the cash register. You see her fingers gently drift over it as there's the little ching, and the drawer kind of flies out.
I like the noise that the machine makes. It pleases me on a deep level.
Huh?
I like the noise, the cha-ching noise that the till makes. It warms my heart. If I was ever a wraith, I would ask people to just run the till a few times, just to pet me up a bit.
You will see that she's actually doing that most difficult of things. She's actually doing the accounts for the day.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think someone was actually able to get to the till to pay for something now that she's cleaned everything.
You're not wrong.
I like to think of it as essentially Ron Swanson in the sense that I like to do as little as possible while simultaneously making enough to keep the place running.
Just about. You're literally like 1 month ahead of, every kind of foreclosure that can be thought of. But by God, somehow always 1 month ahead.
Yeah, I mean, when the tax collector comes knocking, I my basement's is a thing.
You kill the tax collectors.
I don't kill the tax collectors. They suffer unfortunate accidents on the way back from the place. Normally, it's awful, but if you've got to kill anybody, death and taxes make a fine pair.
On a side note, the doorbell or the door chime for your shop goes ding 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 ding.
My ear twitches. I'll get that. I begin to make my way towards it through the now clean floor. Normally, I would have to spend the idea is that there's enough crap in the way that normally the person leaves by the time that I've got there. Yeah. Who's at the door?
Yes, this face is looking down at you when you arrive at the door.
Ah. Hello. Pleasure to meet you.
This is Abdul.
Yeah, I know. Abdul. Abdul's cool.
The Seneschal needs a favor. Abdul was sent to collect Mr. Firmo.
Well, I suppose I'm not preoccupied, fortunately. I will go with Abdul.
Excellent. If you were, Abdul was told to tell you that you are to unbusy yourself.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
If it helps, I'm led to understand that we're going to a library.
Ooh, I do like libraries. I will follow Abdul.
We have car out the front. Please follow Abdul.
Okay.
And Sophia will wave to you as you leave, and she'll say, "I'll just finish doing the accounts then, shall I?"
You're welcome to make yourself busy, but regardless, I have you've done enough for the night.
Very good. I'll find something to entertain myself.
Farewell, Sophie.
You were walked outside into a large town car. Abdul will slide into the passenger seat in front, and there will be a Demos sitting in the back seat. Hi, Demos.
Ryan, always nice to meet family.
Hello.
No surprise we were picking you up.
Yes, I've been informed that I'm apparently going to a library.
Mr. Hennessy, I'm doing a task for him, one I couldn't be more thrilled to do, actually. Please, step in and I'll tell you all about it.
All right, I get in next to my best friend, Abdul. I like to think, like, in my head canon, it's basically like, Mr. Incredible in his, like, normal car,
I was going to say, at some point do you want to buy Abdul as an ally? Is this a thing? Is this a thing that you want to do?
I need this in my life. Abdul's best character.
Abdul is actually he's sitting in the front seat. So he's sitting in the passenger side front seat. There was another Nosferatu. Give me just a moment. I'll find their picture. Sitting in the seat opposite them. Actually, Ryan, you've also met this particular Nosferatu, who turns and looks back at you with their really, really bright, glinting eyes. This one is called Enigma. Oh, Mr. Fromo, nice to see you again.
A pleasure as always.
Oh, I'm just the wheelman for this particular little misadventure. Then again, you and Abdul have to go in and have some kind of misadventures in the Museum of National History. I'm led to understand. This should be fun.
Yes, fun is certainly a word for it.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Damos was going to explain. I'm just going to drive the car.
Before we start, I will take a very good look at Ryan's shop. What's it like? Does it have a sign?
I will leave that to Ryan to describe to you what the exterior of his shop looks like.
There's like a cast iron sign that kind of waves in the mild wind of Dublin. It's got that like kind of old antique-y, like there's almost a musk permeating from the whole place. But basically the sign just says Famo's Antiques and Curios, and then it's like a phone number, and it also says in the corner, we take debit card.
Fine establishment, Ryan. And I noticed the address and make a mental note.
Yes, well, I can't say I take pride in my work as a clerk, but I think that's those days are fortunately behind me as of recent.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, how long have you been here in Dublin?
I've been here since the 1960s.
And did you come from a different place, or is this where you began?
Well, I know this might come as a shock to you, but I'm originally from New Orleans.
Well, I can't say that I can brag about accents, but I think I got a hint.
Oh, did you? Yes, I was quite the... what's the word? I was quite the fan of Prince Doran. He was a good friend of mine and a decent tutor for most of my life. I came here in search of my sire all those years ago.
Your sire? Well, if you forgive me for being extremely curious, you see it's a trait of our kind. Did you know your real parents? And can you explain this?
What, like, but the whole changeling thing?
The whole changeling thing.
Well, I'll be honest, I have not seen or heard of my parents in over near 300 years. The memory is honestly foggy, but my life was entirely normal. My father was a tailor, and he served the gentry class. Rather mundane, if I might add.
300 years, you say?
Yes.
So, in other words, you just arrived in Dublin.
Effectively, yeah.
All right. So, if you ever have the time, feel free to stop by my establishment. It's fairly new. I hope you will find it interesting.
For no reason, sorry, for no reason whatsoever, you will hear Abdul say in the front from the front seat, Abdul likes tailors. Continue.
It is important to look dapper. I get out my box of business cards, which I always have on me, and I hand him a business card.
I take it. Oh, you to Abdul. Right.
No, I'm giving it to you. I think Abdul's already got one of my business cards.
Thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I will hand you one as well. And it's a great surprise. It's a bookstore.
I am surprised by this. You can hear it in my voice.
Oh, book. In any case, Ryan, Mr. Hennessy asked me to make an appraisal of certain tomes that we're about to see.
Any suggestion as to where these tomes are tome from?
Well, they were the property of the Tremere.
My eyebrows wiggle provocatively. Oh my.
So I'm extremely thrilled about the opportunity and very curious as to what we'll find.
Essentially, according to what we've been told, or what Abdul knows, this evening, late. By the way, this scene, for the record, I will point out, is kind of important. Takes place in canon a couple of weeks ago-ish. Just so timelines sync up, but that's not really a huge deal of import for you guys. But Abdul will continue and he'll say, this evening, a group of anarchs went into or found the location of an area of the former Tremere Chantry here in Dublin that had not been destroyed during the Sabbat invasion. Needless to say, they found their way into the library. However, it would appear as though an unpleasant entity by the name of Aisha, however he likes to pronounce his damn name, was lurking around in there. However, Mr. Hennessy believes that he's since fucked off, and we only have until morning before the portal connecting the ruins of the Chantry to its former anchor place dissipates. Do you have any questions?
So will only the four of us be carrying what we find?
I can carry enough. He gives you
that, my friend.
He gives you that Nosferatu, I'm 7 foot tall look.
Well, provided the books don't disintegrate like the ones in the previous chantry, then, well, I suppose we might get ourselves merry.
It has been agreed. Mr. Hennessy will provide you each with suitable payment for your services.
I will try to be not too picky then, considering the circumstances.
Needless to say, if it turns out that this Aisha person is still in residence, we will be leaving rather quickly.
Understood.
Yes, I would not want to make myself closer to that person if it was the only thing in the entire world that I was able to do.
You are funny, Mr. Famo. Abdul likes you. There is a single nod of the head. All right.
I can see it now, the adventures of Abdul and Ryan.
Yes. I don't know why, but in this situation, you're riding around on his back.
Yes. Battle Hodor.
Who wrote Treasure Town? Anyway. Because I can reference movies from the 80s, it's fine. So the car twists its way through the narrow streets of Dublin at night until Enigma brings you up just in front of the library of brings you up just in front of the Museum of Natural History. The doors appear to have been smashed off their hinges. You're surprised, but the police have not been swarming over this place. Then again, you suppose that Mr. Hennessy might have made certain phone calls and made certain things simply not occur. He's been known to do that. As you step outside, both of you roll me perception alertness. difficulty 7 minus any levels of aspects that I have.
Okie doke.
And what time would you say it is?
It's about 3 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm. 7 minus suspect, right?
Yep.
Here we go. 2 successes.
Cool.
I'm trying to understand how to do this. I think I'll just roll the dice. It's difficulty 5 because I've got Auspex 2. 4 successes.
Okay. Both of you immediately, as you step out of the car, you feel a shiver run down your spine. You feel, ooh, Nelly, that there is power. Power has been used here, a lot of it very recently. As a matter of fact, on the pavement, just a little bit down, you see a scorch mark, as if the area had been immolated with a fire that radiated outward, like it had been scorched with a flamethrower.
So the interior seems burned?
No. This is the exterior of the building.
Yeah. All right. Can I say 2 things?
Yeah?
Well, I am able to detect any sort of magic, any aura, and I would also like to activate Shroud Sight in case there is something in the Shadowlands present.
Okay.
That would be Perception Alertness difficulty.
I'm just going to begin walking up the steps to the museum.
You were unmolested as you walk up the steps to the museum. You peer inside through the broken doors. Everything looks fine. The doors, for the record, were splintered outwards as if by immense force, as if something barreled into them and smashed them open.
And I believe that's a box.
For what?
For Shroud Sight.
Doesn't that lock your vision permanently one side or the other?
I don't believe so. I think it just means that you can't. It depends on what discipline you're using it from. So if you're doing it from, are you doing it from the path of the
Ash path?
Yeah, the Ash path. No, I think it just cancels on that one. But if it was Sepulchre or the other one, I think you would be harassed by ghosts or something.
Okay, cool. So the botch, I'm going to say that you can't activate it for the remainder of the scene.
All right.
Cool.
But otherwise, no other kind of aura like magic or changeling
there's a very quickly decaying aura all around you. Somebody was using magic here, but it must have been hours ago.
Ryan, I can sense a very quickly decaying magical aura. I'm just saying, in case you're.
This would appear to be the case. He did mention that they had come into some sort of confrontation with the Anarchs.
So this person, I do not think he would be one of us.
Oh God, no! That you do not want to be involved with this gentleman. I can assure you that. His entire carnal house was sucked into the void of recent.
Very interesting. So let's be as quick as possible.
Yes. All right, I'm gonna go inside and stare at these tomes.
All right. So Abdul will lead you through the Natural History Museum. You pass underneath a gigantic gigantic skeleton of a blue whale and gigantic prehistoric deer that loom nearly 20 feet tall on their hooves, their skeletons still immense and dominating as you walk under them, until he will eventually bring you into a large square room. This room is about 20 feet by 20 feet, so it's relatively large. The only display in here, however, on the mosaic floor, with white and black mosaics, is a mirror. The mirror, however, appears to have been shattered, the glass covering the floor. However, in between the frame of the mirror, you see a shimmering sheen, like as if it was water or or a flat screen television that had been slightly damaged and was flickering. And on the other side of that, you do see a library that stretches out very, very ornate bookshelves, dimly lit by green lanterns.
And would this be the source of the aura?
Beg your pardon?
Would the mirror be the source of this aura that's decaying?
No, it has its own magical aura though, but this one is much stronger. Though you do sense it is weakening, and you would guesstimate that it will be entirely gone by dawn. So this is why they said they only had the night, basically.
All right. So I will get to work.
Okay.
Appraising the tomes.
Okay. You step through the mirror because you have to do so. You have to step through a portal. Abdul will go first, and you will see him appear on the other side. Which one of you goes first, Deimos or Ryan?
Oh, I'll go first if you want.
Cool. You feel like you're stepping through freezing water. If you were dead, you would shiver, and you feel as though you're falling for a split second before you come out unscathed entirely on the other side, and you find yourself standing in that large ovular room that has the bookshelves, many, many bookshelves on either side of you.
Curious.
And I'm going to assume that Deimos does the same thing.
All right, so last I will approach, and before entering, I will try pushing a bit the tip of my cane through the mirror.
Yep, your cane goes through entirely fine.
All right, I step in.
Cool. Once again, you have the same freezing sensation. It feels like you're falling, but you come out entirely unscathed on the other side.
So how large is this new hall?
The room itself is quite large. You would guess that the room maybe 120 feet by about 50 feet. At one end of the room, there is a doorway that sits closed, and there was a crackling fire in a large marble hearth.
I will pay close attention to see if there are any sounds from beyond the door with my heightened senses.
Nope, there is nothing beyond the door, only dead silence.
All right.
Oh, quick question. What color's the fire? Is it the same color as the lanterns, or is it like just normal?
No, it's a normal orangey red color.
Right.
All right, so I will rush to the tomes.
Okay. Do you both want to roll me intelligence academics or intelligence occult?
That's going to be a cult for me, Chief. Which, if I was, is it based off of a knowledge, or is it just pure intelligence occult?
It's pure intelligence. Well, okay. Let me ask you a question. What kind of books would you basically? This place has different topics. What kind of topic would you most be interested in looking through?
Jesus, that's a bit of a...
It's like kindred history. It's got the basics of thaumaturgy and thaumastical theory. It's got a lot of very intricate books, a lot of historical books, a lot of things like historical poetry. First editions are very, very valuable books. So, like, what kind of thing is it that you're looking for exactly?
Well, I suppose information in regards to thaumaturgy would be quite good.
All right. So, first of all, does any book have any particular aura? I can spot that immediately. So,
I'll tell you what, my answer to that is going to be wait and see. But first, tell me what kind of book it is you're looking for.
My first interest would be apocryphal history.
Okay. There is definitely a very large amount of kindred history books. Important questions. Does Ryan and does Deimos, do you both speak Latin?
Yeah.
It's academics.
I'm asking, do you both speak Latin first?
Yeah.
Well, I do not have it as a language.
Okay, cool. You don't have to. That's fine. There are also books that are written in Greek, and I know you have that as a language.
All right. Yes.
Because yes, Latin and Greek are the two primary languages in this place.
Right.
So if you guys would like to both make me your intelligence academics and/or intelligence occult rolls, they'll be difficulty 6.
Okay.
This will determine the value of what you find.
Ooh-wee. Intelligence 5, occult 4. This is gonna be good. Well,
Remember, you guys can spend willpower and all that good stuff if you want it.
Oh, well, can I say? Well, no, never mind. I made a roll before declaring it, so I have 3 successes for intelligence academics.
Holy shit! Sorry, let's just fucking Scott there. Like I have all the dice and all the successes.
big brain boy. I mean, this is like I have 1 strength. Okay,
It's fine. So Deimos, I'm gonna do okay. As you are wandering through the books, as you're wandering, you kneel down and you find a really, really interesting account of the sacking of Carthage. That's written from the perspective of that's written from the point of view of Tacitus, who was himself a Ventru historian.
Yeah, amazing. I'm fascinated.
And it's written in the original. It's written both in Greek and in Latin because that was quite common in Rome. Tacitus himself having been born a Greek slave. You kneel down, you pick it up. As you turn around, you basically in this section of the library. There's a reading table that's just behind you, but there's nothing interesting on the reading table. It just has a candle on it that's burning away so you could have light. But when you turn around, there is an open book on the table behind you. And this book's aura seems to be drinking in the light around it.
I'm drawn to it like like a moth in the flame. So, what's the title?
It's written in a language you don't understand. It's really odd. It's have you ever seen cuneiform?
No.
Basically ancient Persian.
Well, could I roll an academics to see if I can, if my character can make a guess?
I'll give you the fact it's written in ancient Persian for free, but no, you really couldn't guess what it is. But the book has an awful lot of power. As you pick it up, it almost radiates from it into you. All
right. I'm extremely fascinated. I take it, but I do not waste any more time. I go back to the library, and if I can get from a quick glance if other tomes have an aura, I try to pass them by quickly.
No, nothing else really here has an aura per se. Some of the books are very, very valuable, but none of them are really necessarily powerful. You sense that you have the only book of real power in your hands, but also this book looks out of place. It doesn't look like it should be here. I mean, as you flick through it, it's almost a series of scrolls and tablets that have been made into a book. So a lot of it is pressings of tablets and other things like that. Ryan, how's it going, buddy? You doing good?
I think I have 6 successes.
Yeah, you do.
So, yeah, I was looking for like, I think it was. I think I put the query as to thaumaturgy would have been the primary thing I was looking for.
All right, with 6 successes, because that is more than a exceptional success. You find a very old book. This book is tattered. The leather that is no, it's not leather. It's bound in moss. That's interesting. And it has a series of concentric druidic circles on the outside of it that represent eternity and to go on forever. As you pick it up, it is by far the oldest book you've seen. Does your character speak Irish?
Like Gaelic?
Gaelic.
I don't believe I do. I know one of my ghouls does, but I don't.
That's cool. It's written in a language you don't understand, but it seems to depict an awful lot of interesting things like sigils and sigillium, but an awful lot of trees and the imagery of growing things.
This is the most curious grimoire.
Oh, I quite agree.
I kind of like nonchalantly turn around because at this point I kind of knew some bullshit was about to go down.
You see this figure simply stood behind you. Hi.
Hello. You a local patron?
No, I'm merely here to thank you for taking such excellent care of Sophia. Or
Yeah,
Sophia.
she is a charming and well-organized girl.
She is also one of my greatest creations.
I assume I'm having the pleasure of speaking to you because I am here? Or is this just an intended visit for me in particular?
A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. What you have there is Marcenius Diadne's compendium on the green path, if it interests you.
Yes, Gaelic is not one of my first languages, surprisingly.
I want you to know something, and I want you to give this message for me. Would you be so kind?
Well,
You must, I assume that you're a reasonably intelligent chap. You already know that I'm not here personally right now. I'm merely projecting my image.
yes, I believe you may have patroned this place earlier, but I wouldn't imagine you'd put yourself under such a, well, I wouldn't call it a risk, but there's nothing wrong with being careful.
No, you're quite right. But it's quite simple, really. Inform them, yes, inform your superiors that 3 seals have been broken. I only need the additional 4. They will come in time. I am a very patient man. Now, I do hope you enjoy that book. It's very interesting if you wish to master certain occult acts as it pertains to the living world.
Yeah, well, it's certainly an interesting topic. How did you come to such a grandeur collection of novels and books?
Oh, these aren't mine. These were the property of the Chantry of Dublin when it still stood before the small-minded Sabbat came and took it from us. I was merely staying here because it was more comfortable for my needs and my purposes. No, no, no. You've been to my library.
Ah, yes. If I recall correctly, I think you have it back now, don't you?
It's more so I've put certain writings beyond the ability to meddle of some, because I've found that in our immortal state, our kind become very good at meddling.
I assume that you have the capacity to tell if anybody might be eavesdropping on this conversation. Otherwise, you would not have approached me in the first place. May I ask, when I was briefly viewing some of the pieces of information that you had in your rather impressive library, there was a certain text in a glass box in regards to Cain himself.
Yes. That is assuming you believe and are not spoon-fed the propaganda as so many young ones are. I can quote the piece of text for you if you would like.
I fortunately was able to get the general gist of it. Do you write that yourself, or have you been saving that particular piece?
That particular piece was penned very long ago. Very long ago indeed. You also found the little book that I kept in my chapel. That is nothing compared to what was in those pages. That is merely old tales and conjecture. Lilith and Cain, the second city. It means nothing by comparison.
Yes, I suppose it would be a large extension of Chinese whispers, slithering down the line of history itself to this point, copy after copy, diluted and corrupted. Whereas that particular text, as you have mentioned, was handwritten.
Let me ask you a question. Before they were the Giovanni, do you even know what they were?
I do believe they were the Cappadocians. They were extinct far before my even birth.
Yes, indeed. That was penned by their founder. Long ago.
Yeah.
It took me a century of work and the trading of more occult secrets than you could possibly fathom to get my hands on that one piece of paper. However, I thought it was most enlightening.
I would be inclined to agree. At this point, I am practically a carrion vulture, picking upon the corpses and scraps of others. It would appear that I have missed the metaphorical bus.
As you pointed out, you are still young. I tend to find that when you have eternity, you tend to while it away in whatever you find to be your truest you.
Yes, I'm giving it a good try.
Now then, I've said what I needed to say. I shall be on my way, Mr. Famo. And no, you know what? You never did tell him. You never did tell him your name.
That's fine by me. I mean, I did kind of snoop around everywhere. So, you know,
Snoopy.
the amount of people I've given business cards, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
He will say, I have no doubt that we will meet again.
well, if our meetings are anywhere near as cordial, then I'd be happy to have such a meeting once more.
Good evening, Mr. Famo.
I tip my hat.
Oh, there's one more thing. Have you met my childer, Mikhail Ivanov?
Mikhail. His name is familiar, but I don't believe I have ever made the acquaintance personally. Yeah.
If you do, simply... How would I phrase this? Tell him to remember the lullaby. That will be more than sufficient. I'll bid you good evening, Mr. Famo.
Good evening.
The figure flickers once, twice before vanishing. Gotta love that sweet, sweet astral projection.
Local man. Out of this house! Like, sounds like fucking Holy Cross.
And thus it was, Ryan yeeted himself from the building with a mighty yeet.
Yeah. Just you know, I often think, could you read with celerity? But then I think it's just for like rapid movement. You couldn't.
There's a combo discipline to do it, to actually read incredibly quickly. It's like celerity and auspex, I think.
Well, I have both of them, but I don't know to what degree.
Neither do I. I think it's an older combo discipline, but I'm not exactly sure. All right, so you guys have been in the library for about 2 hours at this point, realistically.
Can I say something? I didn't want to interrupt.
Oh, by all means.
That person who appeared with the astral projection said he was the author of the tome that Ryan is holding. I'd like to take a look at the name of the author.
Oh, no, he didn't say he was the author of the tome that Ryan was holding. He named the author of the tome Ryan is holding.
All right.
He's the author of the tome you're holding, if it helps.
Well, I can read ancient Persian, but with my eidetic memory, I will make a very conscious effort to memorize every letter so I can Google it later. Google Translate.
Okay. So
the name of the tome, the author, and by the way, I'm looking specifically in the apocryphal history for anything that has to do with the dream or Constantinople.
Okay, I will get to that in a few minutes. You are basically, both of you will return. You will have found a number of books that are considered useful, quote unquote, and will be able to return to the Nosferatu. Abdul has taken out one of those very, very small. He's taken out one of those very, very small paddles that have a little ball at the end, and he's just playing with it.
Understandable.
He has nothing else better to do. There's no Wi-Fi in here. So you guys will basically come back with stacks of books each. Abdul will simply nod before he will basically hoist the vast collection of books that must weigh hundreds of pounds as if they are nothing. And he will step out through the portal with you all. It's about 5:30 in the morning by the time you step out, so you've got about an hour until dawn, and the Nosferatu have said that they will drive you home.
All right.
I have an important question. I have two important questions. One, Deimos, are you going to attempt to hide that book, or are you going to give it to the Nosferatu?
We'll give it to the Nosferatu.
Okay. They don't seem to get the significance of it. Like, they're not as tuned into it as you are. Like, so literally, Abdul just puts it on top of the pile. Like, yeah.
Abdul, if you please, are we going to Mr. Hennessy, or are you taking them to him without us seeing him?
It's not long until dawn.
Very well. I think it would be useful if I were to speak with Mr. Hennessy when it's convenient for him.
Abdul pulls out his cell phone and he hands you his cell phone as it's dialing a number.
Mm-hmm.
What is it, Abdul?
Oh, she gave me the phone. So
He handed you the phone.
Mr. Hennessy, it's Deimos. I wanted to tell you real quickly that Abdul will be bringing you a collection of what we believe are the most valuable tomes in the Chantry. There is a particular one in a writing I cannot decipher, but I can tell you it's bustling with a strange aura. I think you should pay extra attention to it.
I'd be delighted to do so, Mr. Deimos.
A good day to you, sir.
Was it a fruitful evening's hunting for both you and Mr. Famo?
Mr. Famo, would you like to speak with Mr. Hennessy?
Yes, I would, quite urgently, if you would allow me.
All right, I pass on the phone.
Yes, Mr. Famo.
I, while searching through these books, found something a little bit more than a book, unfortunately.
Oh?
Yes, the astral projection of the certain person that we are currently searching these books for. Aisha, I believe her name is. Its name is, whatever it is, I don't know.
I believe if Aisha had a gender, it gave it up long ago, but continue.
Yes, unfortunately, she bade me to take upon a message. She said 3 seals are broken and 4 remain. They will also fall in time.
That is both cryptic and disconcerting.
It is. It sounds practically eldritch.
6 seals. Unfortunately, this means I'm now going to have to go and pay more boons to the Tremere in order to get answers, but needless to say, you've both done your jobs well and will be rewarded. You can either choose. I will either owe you a minor boon for this evening's work, or you may take some of the books as your payment. Which would you prefer?
I would gladly take some of the books as payment.
Likewise, sir.
Very good. In that case, they'll be brought to me. We will determine what we will be taking for the good of the Camarilla, and then you two will be given the residue.
Residue. A useful word for such ancient tomes.
I'm sorry, Mr. Famo, but I am a realist when it comes to these things.
Realist. Your choice of words tonight are particularly abrasive.
More so, it has been a very long evening. If you will, oh yes, you'll become aware. One of the Anarchs made a deal with Mr. Aishar as it pertained to selling out one of his comrades, and the prince will be calling blood hunt upon him.
Well,
So I've had to deal with the paperwork.
Perhaps when you're finished, I could bode you happy hunting.
It is never good when one must reclaim the blood, however it is necessary to trim the tree.
Yes, this did not pile up.
In that case, Mr. Famo, Mr. Deimos, I will bid you good evening. Abdul will see you both safely return to your havens.
Good evening to you.
Oh, yeah, okay. After I've hung up, I look over at Deimos and, did you find anything of particular interest?
A lot of tomes, particularly ones that, like the one I mentioned to Mr. Hennessy, that I cannot read, but I'm sensing it's extremely valuable and powerful. Other than that, a very interesting tome about the fall of Carthage from the perspective of the Ventrue.
Oh, very interesting.
You see, I was always fascinated by history, and ever since the Embrace, I found that our kind goes a lot deeper to the historic events than we do.
There's practically living history, as it were. I was wondering, perhaps at some point we might exchange notes in regards to necromancy. I have it under good regard that you might also know something about Mythosaria. I have yet to have practiced such a discipline, but I can feel it in the blood, as it were.
Well, I would be very surprised if I could teach anything to someone who was born 300 years ago in New Orleans, but I would be happy to exchange any notes that you will find useful.
Yes, I mean, naturally, given the lack of a present sire, I had to teach myself my own stuff, and necromancy, as it were, is something that I took to far more than Mythosaria.
Well, I'm a dabbler when it comes to necromancy, and you won't consider it very arrogant if I tell you that as far as Mythosaria, I have taken it to the level my sire allowed.
Well, I suppose at least on the bright side, you are free of such restrictions at this point in time. Are you currently capable of practicing any rituals?
A handful.
Well, if you would be so kind, at some point might we meet it and perhaps exchange notes on such rituals? I'd be happy to give you information on the relevant ones that I have.
My door is always open, Ryan. I will be very happy to have you.
Suppose we best get going. The night is short.
Indeed. And it was a fruitful one.
Certainly was.
And as they leave the Museum of National History, we shall end our scene. So thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. This has been another scene of Darkness of Dublin. Have a pleasant evening.